So my twin brother, can you believe it? Slept with my girlfriend. That got me tossed out on my butt at 17. 8 years later, guess who wants me back? My family. Turns out I'm in Grandpa's will. And get this, they're actually welcoming me, my wife, and my little girl for Christmas. A friend suggested I spill the whole mess online, see what people think. I've got 3 older siblings, Michael, he's 31, Sarah, and Casey, my twin, also 25. I was always the odd one out, the black sheep. I knew it growing up. My whole family, total jocks. Dad was a killer basketball player, Mom played volleyball, Michael was into soccer, Sarah was a softball player, and Casey, man, he was a star running back. Me, I was into archery. They thought it was, kind of girly. My folks were always way more into my siblings' stuff. They barely ever came to my archery tournaments. I practically had to beg them to show up. I competed in like 20 tournaments between 14 and 16, and they only made it to one. They weren't mean or anything, but they just weren't there for me emotionally like they were for the others. And the worst part, every time I tried to talk to them about it, they called me a drama queen. It really stung. That wasn't the real reason my family kicked me to the curb. When I hit 15, I started going out with Amy, who's 25 now. We were in the same grade. After maybe 6 or 7 months, I brought her home to meet my folks and my siblings, and they all thought she was great. Even though I was young, I could see myself with her long term. Almost 2 years in, one of Amy's old friends told me she'd been cheating on me for ages. I didn't know the guy, but when I called her out on it, she confessed it was my twin brother. Basically, she said she liked me at first, but she loved him more. Later that same day, when I confronted Casey at home, I lost it and cold-cocked him, and he went down. I know I shouldn't have gotten violent, but years of hating him and the rest of the family just blew up inside me. To avoid my family pressing charges since I could have been treated as an adult, they sent me to live with my aunt, who was 48, and lived in another city a couple hours away. She wasn't really talking to the family either. Since then, I haven't spoken to any of them. It was rough at first, but with my aunt and her husband, who was also 48, I eventually got over wanting anything to do with them. I switched high schools, went to college in my aunt's city, and got my degree in electrical engineering. Then I met my wife, and we got married. I almost asked them to come to my wedding, but I chickened out. I just didn't want any drama. After that, my wife and I got a house an hour from my aunt, and we had a baby girl a year ago. Then, about a week ago, my parents messaged me on Facebook, saying they wanted to get together for Christmas at their house. I told them I'd think about it, that I might already have plans, but I'd let them know ASAP. Later, both Michael and Sarah sent me friend requests, which felt super weird. My wife said if I decided to go, she and our daughter would go spend Christmas with her dad, so she wouldn't have to deal with any added stress. And honestly, I agree, since she's 2 months pregnant. So what I'm wondering for anyone reading this is, should I try to patch things up with my family or not? I'm totally stuck. On one hand, they might be really sorry for what they did and want to say sorry. But if I go, they might try to get me to apologize to Casey, and I definitely don't want to. Any advice would really help. Update: hey everyone, it's been a tough couple of weeks, but I really appreciate all the advice and support. This is going to be a long one, just a heads up. I meant to post sooner, but stuff kept getting in the way. My wife started having terrible stomach pains a couple days after Christmas, and she couldn't even stand up. My sister-in-law and I got my wife to the hospital fast. That's where we found out she'd miscarried, and they needed to do surgery right away. The absolute worst part, having to tell my wife. It was awful, and to make things even worse, there were complications, so she had to stay 2 extra days. I've been trying to be strong for my wife and daughter, but man, I'm hurting. Okay, so here's what happened next. A lot of people commented that day I posted, saying I shouldn't spend Christmas with my family, because of everything. I agreed with them. I decided to spend the rest of the holidays with my wife. They never had time for me, so why should I give them mine? I figured they'd fight back when I texted them that, but they actually said they understood and couldn't wait to see me. After the holidays, I got curious. I started digging into what my family's been up to, trying to figure out why they even reached out. Michael's a big-shot corporate lawyer in my town. His Facebook page shows he's got 2 daughters, and he married his wife in 2016. Sarah, it looks like she married a doctor. 8 years ago, she was studying to be a nurse, and now they have a son. I have a friend back home whose parents know my folks. I asked her about Sarah, and she told me Sarah divorced her first husband after 8 years together. Turns out he'd been doing mail fraud. And Casey, he married Amy right out of high school, and they've got 2 kids. I was totally clueless about what he and his wife did for work on Facebook, but the fact that they bought a huge house last year, right in the middle of the pandemic, made it seem like they were doing all right. My dad seemed to be going through a midlife thing, and my mom's really into that whole wellness scene. So then, I started thinking about all the reasons why they might be trying to get in touch with me right now. First off, it's probably not money. 8 years ago, my parents made more than me and my wife combined, and my siblings are doing okay financially, so that's probably not it. Then there's the possibility of organ donation, but that seemed unlikely. One person on Reddit thought Casey, my twin, would be the most likely match for that. But I don't know, seems doubtful since he was just tagged in a Facebook post skiing right before Christmas. As for my daughter, maybe they wanted to connect with her, but I wasn't so sure about that. She wasn't their first granddaughter, so I didn't get why they'd suddenly want to meet her. They probably found out about her because my wife's Facebook was public. She's made it private now. I immediately called my aunt, the one who took me in, who I hadn't spoken to in ages, and told her what was up. She explained why they were reaching out after all this time. To understand the whole thing, you need to know why my aunt and my parents were estranged in the first place. My grandparents, my grandpa's 79 and my grandma's 76, had 4 kids. My dad was the second oldest kid, and my aunt was the third. Right after she finished school, she told her parents she was bi and began seeing her girlfriend. My grandparents, right then and there, cut her off, wouldn't talk to her. But then, about 4 years ago, my grandpa started trying to find her. Around a month ago, he started asking about me, what I was up to, if I was married or had kids. My aunt really went off on him because he was sticking up for Casey. And that's when everything shifted. My grandpa told my aunt that I deserved to be shut out because I supposedly cheated on Amy with one of her close friends. See, my grandpa is super religious and hates cheating. My family had spun him this story. When the friend I supposedly cheated with confessed to Amy, she ran to Casey and Sarah for comfort and support. When I heard this, I went after Casey and Sarah, yelling and everything. Sarah was trying to get me and Casey to fight, but I didn't hit her, and I didn't beat up Casey either. My jaw just hit the floor when my aunt told me this. I couldn't believe they hated me so much that they'd make up a terrible lie about me and spread it around. My aunt eventually told my grandpa the real deal. She said he was shocked because he always thought Casey was a good guy. Then my grandpa asked my aunt for my number, but she wouldn't give it to him. I get why my family suddenly wanted to talk to me. Turns out my grandpa told them if they didn't say sorry and ask me to Christmas dinner, they'd be kicked out of his will. The man's loaded, a multi-millionaire, so that's the only reason they reached out. Not because they felt bad about screwing me over, but because they wanted a piece of grandpa's fortune. Seriously, what a bunch of money grubbers. My aunt spilled the beans and I just blocked them all. Why would I even bother now? As far as I'm concerned, they're dead to me. I've got a wife to support, especially after everything she's been through, and a family that actually respects me, including my in-laws. But that wasn't the end of it. 3 days after New Year's, my work phone rang, and it was an unknown number. I'm used to that with my job. I picked up, and it was my grandpa. He must have gotten my number from the company website. He said he was sorry for not reaching out in the last 8 years. He apologized for missing important stuff like my graduation, wedding, and when my daughter was born. I wasn't super close to him before, so when he cut me off, it didn't bother me that much. Then he told me he was so disgusted with the rest of my family that he was taking them out of his will and putting me in. I honestly have no clue how to feel about all this. The money would be a lifesaver, but I'm not letting him use it to try and force his way into my daughter's life. We talked for like 30 minutes. The whole call made me think, hey, maybe I could actually have a decent relationship with my grandpa. But then he opened his big mouth and said something that just blew me away. He was all upset that my daughter didn't take the family name. See, when I married my wife, we had to decide about last names. I couldn't legally change mine to hers, but we both agreed our kids would have her last name. That's when I lost it. I called him every name in the book, a senile old fool and all that. I told him to never contact me again. The nerve of that guy. After everything I've been through, he pulls that crap? No way. He's not using that money from the will to control me. Even if I get it, I'm giving it all to a local charity. But knowing his track record of broken promises, that's probably not gonna happen. These past 2 weeks have been brutal, seriously brutal, and I'm just trying to get through it all. My wife's made her Facebook private, and so have his family. I have no clue how they're trying to contact me. Heck, they'd probably hire a private investigator to find me. I think they don't know where I live, but who knows, really? I've thought about getting a restraining order, but it's a whole mess since we've got lawyers in the family. I didn't really get a chance to get to all the questions from my last post. I'll try to get to some of them in the next day or two, but after that, I'm signing off Reddit for a bit. Thanks to everyone for all the ideas and for the Happy New Year wishes. That's the end of the first part. Now let's get to story number 2. My ex, she ditched me and our little girl for another guy like a decade ago. But now she's back trying to be a family again after getting COVID and realizing she's totally alone. My story actually started 16 years ago when I met Lucy. She was amazing, so smart, so beautiful, and just hilarious. Seriously, the best woman I'd ever known. I felt so lucky when we started going out, and a year later we had our baby. I thought I was living the dream, living with my girl, raising our kid, and we were a happy family. I was crazy about Lucy, and after a few years we were finally getting married. Our daughter was just over the moon about the wedding since she was going to be the flower girl. Everything was perfect until one day I was on my way home and some guy came up to me and asked if he could talk. I thought he was trying to sell me something at first until he said Lucy's name. He wanted to chat in private. Then he told me to put the brakes on the wedding and just back away. So me and Lucy, they wanted to be together, right? I didn't believe it until he started spilling stuff about her that there's no way I could have known. I practically flew home. I was praying it was all some crazy misunderstanding, so I told her. But nope, it wasn't. For the next hour, she laid it all out. She'd been cheating for 2 years the whole time. Every I love you, every promise about us, every sweet thing about our family, all lies. She said this new guy was younger, hotter, more ripped, and get this, a better lover. She didn't want to be with me anymore. Said being a mom tied her down, didn't want to be married. Just wanted to be free. The worst part, she actually seemed glad I finally knew, like it was a weight off her shoulders so she could finally leave. I cried, I begged, I completely humiliated myself, got down on my knees, anything to try and fix things. But she didn't care. She was hooked on the excitement this new guy gave her. The next day, she was gone. I felt like I'd been run over by a truck, completely crushed, embarrassed, and just empty. But my daughter, she needed me. She was devastated. Her mom was gone and she thought it was all her fault. She even overheard Lucy say she didn't want to be a mom anymore. My girl needed me to be strong, and I had to be. Thankfully, we had a lot of support. My family and her family, they really stepped up. My daughter's antics mortified her parents so much that they couldn't even come near me without saying sorry for everything. I'll never be able to fully thank everyone for their help. Fast forward a decade, and after lots of time and therapy, my daughter and I are doing great. She's my whole world. She's a beautiful 15-year-old, and I just love her. Our hurts have faded, and we live a really good life. But then she showed back up. When my daughter and I got home, Lucy was outside our place wanting to chat. I knew it was her instantly, and I wish I could say I was cool and ignored her or told her to go away or even just gave her a hard time. But no, I'm such a fool. My heart did a little flip as soon as I saw her. She was still just as gorgeous, but it was like she was even better. Maybe it was the years making her seem more grown-up and classy. Maybe it was her clothes or her makeup, I don't know. Anyway, I let her in while our daughter gave us some space and went to her room. She filled me in on everything she'd been up to since she left. Basically, she lived with that person for a few years. She talked about how much she liked it, how much fun she had, and how she thought those were the best times of her life until she realized the spark in her new relationship was gone. She ended up cheating on that person, too. She said she just wanted to feel alive and thrilled. Eventually, that relationship ended, and she started dating other guys. It seemed like every relationship I had got shorter and shorter until I was just doing the hookup thing. She also told me that she still thinks about us, about the family we had. She said she was too stubborn to admit she messed up until last year when she got COVID. It really knocked her for a loop, and she thought she was going to die. That's when she realized how alone she was, how stupid she'd been. She'd made a mistake a long time ago. After all that, she said she was sorry for what she'd done, and that now she wanted to marry me and be the family we always wanted. When she was finished, I asked her to leave so I could think. She said okay, and that she'd be back tomorrow. For years, I'd hoped she would come back, and now it was happening, but it didn't feel right. Ever since then, she's been here almost every day, talking about the good times and how we could get back together. I asked my family and friends what they thought. Most of them said that if I took her back, it'd be the biggest mistake I'd ever make. Some of them told me to give her a shot. It took me forever to get over her, and even longer to start dating again, and I'd be risking everything. My daughter and I talked about it one night for a long time. I always try to keep her in the loop on everything, and this was a big deal for her because it was about her mom. She just blows me away sometimes with how wise she is, and the question she asked hit me hard. Can you really love someone who's hurt you so badly? That was all I needed to hear. I couldn't live with myself if I let her hurt my daughter again. I told Lucy straight up. If she wants to be in my daughter's life, cool, as long as it's what she wants. But I made it clear we weren't going back. Lucy just said she'd make me fall for her again and that she wasn't giving up. Update 2. I was shocked by how many people responded, so thanks to everyone for the feedback and advice. Thanks to those who helped me see that I still have issues with my ex and haven't moved on completely. Mostly I'm thankful to those who warned me about letting her back into our lives and the risks involved. I know my own shortcomings, but I won't let her hurt my kid again. So don't worry, I'm not going back to her. She'd been pushing to meet up ever since I posted. She wanted to talk. I decided to have one last conversation with her and set some firm boundaries. We met in a public place. It was a long and tough conversation. I wanted her to be straight with me, so I told her that if I caught her lying, I was out. I asked her if she was truly sorry or if we were just her backup plan. Did she actually love us, or were we just second best? Was she back because of love or because she couldn't find another guy? She couldn't answer any of the questions. She kept saying things like, "It's not what you think, and you have to understand me." She kept repeating, "I'm not like this anymore." She desperately wanted another shot, insisted we could find love and be together again. She didn't even bring up our daughter. It was only when I brought her up that she started to mention her. When I tried to tell her we were finished, she grabbed my hand and, just like some of you predicted, tried to get me to change my mind. She pulled her top down, showing me everything, and said, "We can go somewhere and I'll do anything you want. I'll pay you anything." I didn't recognize the woman. She wasn't the incredible girl I fell for. She wasn't my daughter's mother. I had no clue who that woman was, but she definitely wasn't my Lucy. I told her to let me go, that it was over. I begged her to leave me and my kid alone. We didn't want anything to do with her anymore. We were happy without her. Suddenly, she flipped out, screaming that I couldn't leave her, that it wasn't my decision and that she had nothing else. Then she started yelling that I couldn't take her daughter from her. I still don't know why, but that last thing she said just set me off. These aren't my exact words, but they're close to what I said then. "Your daughter, you're not her mother, you just gave birth to her. You aren't her mother." Tell me, where were you when she was sick? Where were you when she had a fever? When did she feel scared at night? When did her first tooth fall out? Man, it just kills me thinking about all the nights she cried missing her mom. Was I there for her first day of school? Do you even remember when she got her period? Or her first boyfriend? And then her heart shattered again, like her mom already hadn't ripped it to shreds the first time. Where were you when she needed a mother, huh? You don't get to act like you're her mom, you never have. She tried to say something, but you could tell she was choked up, couldn't find the words. I left her at home. Later, she texted, begging for another shot, another chance. Said she loved me, was ready to change. But I'm done. You guys were right. She doesn't love me or our daughter. It's all about her. Keeping her around would be nothing but toxic drama, and I don't need that negativity in my life. I just don't need her. Me and my daughter are heading back to therapy soon. Some of you had it right. I gotta focus on myself, get stronger, and just let go of these feelings. They're not real, you know? Just this fantasy I built up of who I thought she was.